ashore. Actually, a more accurate translation of that would be when Jesus stepped on the earth. When Jesus stepped on the earth. Jesus abandoned his heavenly throne and the praise of angels, and he went through the storm of condescension. And he came down and he stepped on this tiny blue planet, and what he came across was demon-possessed men and women just like you and me. Naked, lonely, homeless, demon-possessed, dead, living among the dead, living in the tombs, naked, without the righteousness of Christ. Homeless, without a place to call a house of my Father. Dead men walking and dead women walking without the life of Jesus Christ. And Jesus Christ, in his busy schedule of being God and controlling the universe, came through the storm of condescension, and he stepped his feet on earth for naked, lonely, homeless, dead, demon-possessed people like you and for me. That is God's way, and that is God's thought that is higher than ours. Let's go to verse 33. When the demons came out of the man, they went into the pigs, and the herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and was drowned. When those tending the pigs saw what had happened, they ran off and reported this in the town and countryside, and the people went out to see what had happened. When they came to see Jesus, they found the man from whom the demons had gone out sitting at Jesus' feet, dressed and in his right mind. When Jesus comes in us, the devil leaves us. When Jesus protects us with his radical protection, there is no room for Satan to invade us. Jesus didn't just come for this man that he will be spiritually healed. He came so that this man would be physically healed, that this man would be mentally healed, and that this man would be socially healed. Now my question is, where did this man get the clothes that he was wearing? Was it his own clothes? Did he go back home for his own clothes? I bet not. Was it his neighbors? It wasn't his neighbors, because the neighbors dare not come near this dangerous man. Was it the disciples? It wasn't the disciples. The disciples don't even appear in this story. It's quite interesting. The disciples appear in the prior stories and the stories that come after this story, but in this story, the disciples never appear. It wasn't the disciples that brought this man clothes. Then who's left? My sweet Jesus. I imagine Jesus the night before, looking forward to the next day. Because on the other side of the lake, his friend, his love, was waiting for him, naked and cold. And Jesus goes through his suitcase, and he takes out a pair of clothes, nice-looking clothes that diligent Martha made for him, maybe. And then he carries it, he holds on to it, and he gets on the boat. And the disciples are wondering, why is Jesus carrying an extra pair of clothes? He never does that. It rains, and the winds blow. But Jesus holds on to it tight because he doesn't want it to get wet, because there's someone waiting who wants to wear those clothes. And Jesus gets off that boat, and there's a naked madman standing out there. But to him, but to Jesus Christ, that is his lover, that is his friend, that is waiting for him. Jesus drives out the demon, and he runs to this man, and he clothes him himself. Clothes of Jesus. You know what? Our God is a master at clothing us. He loves doing it. When our great-great-great-grandparents expelled themselves from the Garden of Eden, God came down himself, and he clothed the naked couple with handmade leather clothes. When the prodigal son returns home, his filthy, his stinky clothes are replaced with his father's Gucci clothes, with his father's Louis Vuitton clothes. And this man was clothed by Jesus Christ himself. Jesus came in his busy schedule through the storm that this man can be physically clothed and that this man can be spiritually clothed. When the man was brought back to his right mind, the pigs did not matter to Jesus. That was not of Jesus' concern. What mattered to him was that his lover was made well. The master shepherd cared about his sheep, not the pigs. But in this story, we have the shepherd, but we also have the swineherds who were tending to the pigs. To them, their neighbor getting okay, their neighbor being healed, did not spark any interest in them. Drowning pigs was all they were concerned about. Are you a swineherd or are you a shepherd? God has called you and me as under-shepherds to tend to his flock. God has not placed you in the seminary that you would be caring for the pigs. When a lost sheep is found, sometimes pigs in your life will go down. And by pigs, I mean insignificant things in your life that really don't matter. We as pastors should not be chasing after the pigs at the cost of losing our sheep. What are the pigs in your life? Remember, the pigs were running down the steep bank. When you follow after, when you chase after those pigs, you will be running down that steep bank into the lake, which will end up being your watery grave. Let's read verses 37 to verse 39. Then all the people of the region of the Gerasenes asked Jesus to leave them because they were overcome with fear. So he got into the boat and left. The man from whom the demons had gone out begged to go with him, but Jesus sent him away, saying, "Return home and tell how much God has done for you." So the man went away and told all over town how much Jesus had done for him. Jesus came all the way through the storm in his busy schedule, and all he did was bring about change in one person's life. In my limited human eyes, this is a day wasted. This is a day that is unsuccessful, inefficient use of time. But God has his own ways that are higher than mine. I told you that the 12 disciples do not appear in this story, and there is a reason to that, because there is a disciple in this story. This madman is the disciple in the story. Jesus could have healed hundreds of sick people. He could have preached to thousands of people back in Galilee, but he came all the way in his busy schedule for this one man that he could raise up a disciple. And this man was going to do the work of Jesus when Jesus could no longer be around. Are you telling that Jesus is inefficient? Am I telling that Jesus is inefficient? Jesus is telling me I have my ways that are higher than your ways, and you follow me. A very well-known author, Loren Isley, was walking down the beach, and he saw a young man throwing starfish into the sea. He asked the young man, "Why are you throwing those?" And the young man said, "The sun is up and the tide is going out. I'm throwing the starfish that they won't die." And to Loren Isley, it didn't make sense, because the beach extended miles after miles, and there were thousands of starfish laying down there. And he asks, "Do you think you can make a difference? Do you think you can make a difference?" The young man bent down, picked up a starfish, threw it in the sea, and he answered, "It made a difference for that one." Jesus didn't change the course of history that day. Jesus didn't change the world that day, but that man's world changed that day. Jesus isn't in the business of doing group therapy. Jesus works on us one by one. It may seem inefficient in your eyes and in my eyes. But God tells you and me, I have my own way that is higher than yours. Jesus inefficiently came across the lake through the storm in his busy schedule for demon-possessed men and women like you and me, that he could spiritually, that he could physically, that he could mentally and socially heal us. And Jesus says to us today, I have shown you what I have done. And now I charge you, go and do likewise.